Hello, and you're very welcome along to another edition of the JMac podcast. I'm John McMahon, and of course, the podcast is kindly brought to you by yourgarage.com. Use my promo code JMac podcast to get 15% off on the website. And tonight, I'm joined by Kingscourt Stars manager Colin Kelly to chat all about the year he had with Kingscourt, a bit on Colin's coaching and management experience, and how great he thinks Cavan football is. So it'll be interesting to see what Colin has to say tonight. Colin, how are you?
Yeah, good, John. Delighted to be on.
Yeah, not so bad, not so bad. Not long to Christmas.
Oh, no. Happy time of the year. It's been great this last couple of weeks. Ended in a bit of a lull, I suppose, with the Ulster Championship. But it's great to get the break down now and just look forward to a few nights out and just relaxing a wee bit.
Yeah. Let the just wind down a bit and just relax, as you say. I think everyone needs it, and the Christmas break is always good to recharge the batteries a bit. And I suppose, obviously, aside from the football and things, Colin, I suppose what are the kind of the plans for Christmas? Just spend time with the family and just get a few nights out and a bit of crack, I suppose.
Yeah, that's it basically. A couple of nights out, just catching up with fellas. Probably you only catch up with once or twice a year. Few things out with the family. It's my daughter's birthday tomorrow, so we go have something eating tours tonight, and then it's still busy with football. Like Connell, my son, is with the Loud Miners, and he's in Darver still 3 times a week. So it's taxi driving for him really, and that's it really. Just relax, maybe get a game of golf, a few beers, a couple of nights out, and just get recharged for next year.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It'll be a quick old turnaround. Obviously, with we'll touch on to it in a few minutes, but it'll be a quick old turnaround for the Kingscourt lads with I suppose the Ulster Championship, and then obviously the county final when it was played in October, and obviously the game against the Fermanagh champions. Obviously, it was Aaron Gales, wasn't it?
Aaron Gales, it
Aaron
was.
Gales, yeah, the Fermanagh champions in Kingsmore Breffni Park. Like, obviously a long enough year, but I suppose, like, are you allowing the lads to maybe have a bit of a break, or are the lads maybe that driven they want to just keep going?
No, we look. Like I have to say that they're brilliant lads to deal with, and I suppose probably the age spread of the team is from guys mid 30s down to guys that's 17, 18, 19. Like when the final whistle went, the day the county final, I think we had six under 5 or 6 under 19s on the pitch. So at the minute, really, like there's probably a bit going on. Like Paddy Mead, triple jobs as the vice captain. He's the S&C coach, and he's also a midfielder. Now I've dealt with a lot of S&C coaches, and he's as good as there is. He's fantastic. So at this minute in time, he's stringently working with the younger lads in the squad, and some of the older guys have jumped on the back of that. So what a couple of gym sessions, nothing major. We probably won't put football boots on until mid to late February. So and it's not going to get in the way of Christmas celebrations. I think they're starting to ramp it up there. They have a couple of days out. They have a day out this Saturday, then they have a day. We're going racing as a group the following Sunday to Navan. So there's a few things happening. They are, you know, I suppose starting to get back up into the gyms. It's not something that anyone's driving. It's them themselves that want to really participate in it, and we probably have a more of an outlook on that for the younger guys in the squad, and it's just to get them up to a speed that they're healthy, they're injury free, and they're able to perform to the best of their ability next year.
Yeah, absolutely getting ahead of the curve without a shadow of a doubt. And so, was Colin, we could touch on to the year that was. Obviously, Kingscourt are the Cavan Senior Football Champions for 2025, and it's the first county title win in the small matter of 10 years, Colin. And it is hard to believe, obviously, the power and I suppose the size of Kingscourt and obviously the players that they have produced in recent years. It's hard to believe it did take 10 years, but their goal shows the talent obviously Cavan Gales have, the likes of Gowna have, Crusher Law have. Like there has been a lot of winners, obviously Castlerahan since that. Like so, it does maybe go to show there is a nice wee spread in Cavan. But did you enjoy your year overall this year?
I did. It was fantastic. Even when it was a struggle, first 5 league games we didn't win. Couldn't buy a win. We had a lot of young lads coming into games. But the one thing that struck me from the moment I met the group was the skill set that was in the group. it was really high. They had achieved a minor double. They had some really talented young lads, but the transition from minor into senior is so difficult, So it doesn't necessarily guarantee anything. But when what people don't realise is they've played in Cavan senior finals in the recent past, like doing finals in 2020, doing finals in 23. So they've always been kind of banging on the door, and that's a tribute to probably the managers that went before them. It's a tribute to the coaching that was in the club. Um, so there was talent there. So it didn't shock me, even when things were going poorly. Derek Walsh is and Paddy Farley are the two guys that's in giving us a hand with managing and coaching. And even when things were going poorly, at no stage did I think that the corner was never going to be torn. So it was always looking forward, and it was always enjoyable. And they embraced everything we asked of them. And it's just been a good year overall.
Mm. And obviously, the league in Cavan, Colin, there is a lot of people do say like there is obviously a lot of league games before you do reach to someone up the championship, and you obviously have your 4 games in the kind of Cavan Club Championship. What do you make? Maybe obviously be the novice with the Cavan All County League this year. What did you make of the league as a whole, and maybe the structure of it?
Yeah, I think, look, it's like everything else. I was involved on React for the last couple of years in Down, and it was something similar in terms of it was Friday night games, it was competitive, and similar to Cavan, where it's a bit different up in Loud and stuff like that, where it's split into 6 and 6 halfway through the league, where in Cavan it's very competitive, and like the fact that 4 bottom teams go into a relegation playoff, it's dog eat dog, but you know they're proud of the football. You play without your county players. No one seems to moan. No one seems to give out. To get on with it. Suits some clubs, doesn't suit others. But overall, it's a pretty good standard, and it's decent. Like the top 4 teams, 5 teams in Cavan, and ultimately you could probably go deeper than that. You could probably say there's 7, 8 teams really competitive that on any given day in championship football, they would cause you a problem. Then take into it that you've Cucullins now that's in the Ulster intermediate final, and they're a strong team. Arver a couple of years ago have won an intermediate, Ulster, and went deep into an all-ireland competition, done really well. So, like it's a strong competitive competition, and there is quite a lot of talent in the county. I was very lucky in part of a management team was Paddy Farley, and he's excellent. His knowledge of Cavan football was second to none. So there was a huge amount of trust put in Paddy with the information he was giving us, and we were basing it off that. But, as I said to you, when we turned the corner come those first 5 league matches, the lads just took off.
And do you think maybe it took them maybe a couple of losses in the league to kind of get the season going and get that bit of momentum, I suppose, Colin?
No, I don't really think so. As I said to you, um, we set out a stall earlier on that we would become very good defensively. We tried to work on a structure, and that probably seems mad in the modern game. And I would like to think I'm a very progressive and forward thinking coach, but was fully aware that the players we had coming back in would make us an awful lot stronger. Like even like I'm not talking about the two obvious in Geordie and Podge. Like Shane Gray was due to come back in. He's been a stellar performer for Kingscourt
Mm.
for a long time. We knew probably Joe Dillon was on the horizon of coming back in. And there was a few other lads that was getting up to speed in terms of getting fitter. So, the word I listened to from my early days in Kingscourt was, suffered a few very heavy beatings this last couple of years, and so, shipped a couple of heavy knocks. That never happened to us. Even when we were struggling, I remember we went down to Crusher in a league game, and we were probably down in bodies, but they performed excellently well. They scored 316, and I'm saying this is the best team in Cavan here. Now ultimately we lost, but I knew there was something there. It was something different. They were competitive to the last, and they never stopped trying. So I never doubted them at all at any stage. And I said to you, we had a great setup around us, and it was just a feel good factor about the place. So those early matches, they were, even though we were losing, we were competitive, and I'd no doubt that when it turned, it would get better.
Yeah, Colin, absolutely. And obviously, Barry Riley did retire this year, and Barry has probably been one of, if not Kingscourt's best players in recent years. He's just a remarkable footballer. And then obviously getting back the likes of Joe Dillon and obviously Shane Gray, and like both men have soldiered the line for Kingscourt, and even Cavan for a number of years as well. And obviously Joe Dillon, it was great to see Joe back as well, because he's been plagued with injuries and they've really curtailed his career to a degree. But he had a really stellar championship.
Yeah, he did, and he was a great boost just when we needed it. He came back in, and there was no pressure. He was involved with Latin as an S&C coach, and like we were trying to make everyone inclusive. And look, I probably won't lie in terms of I wouldn't have seen a huge amount of Joe playing. I was probably I was aware of the fact that he might become available. Well, not that he might become available, that I was going to try and get him to play the same way as we did with Barry Riley. And we just left it to himself. And then when the phone call was made, he was open to come back. And his introduction was slow. We were bringing him in at half times in games, and he was really good. The guy probably ultimately he replaced Michael Gargan, had been fantastic for us all year in the early stages of the championship in the league. You know, we probably would have struggled through the league if we didn't have Michael, and he was there giving us a digger all the time, and Joe was probably slowly but surely getting up to game speed. So he was a great fella to have, and then when he really got his mojo going in semi final and final, he was very, very good.
Yeah, yeah, Colin. Joe is a quality footballer. Like he would have played for Cavan under 21s all the way up, and then I think he was with the Cavan senior lads. I think up until about, I think was it 2017 or maybe 18. I think, I don't know, did he fall out of love with it to a degree, but maybe the way the game was going. But yeah, Joe was definitely a very exciting prospect even growing up, and then I suppose we're really seeing the best from now. I really do hope he stays injury free.
Yeah, so do I. He's on a reduced workload, to be honest with you. If he's playing a bit of handball and racquetball at the minute, so hopefully we get him over that season. He'll be playing that in the early stages of next year. So hopefully again, he's probably someone that we won't see back in the mix until May. Look, Joe has a lot of miles in the legs, so there's no point in him pushing the body early on, and a season, duration from mid-February to touch wood, hopefully, October, November again. Would he sustain that? I don't know. So it's about managing. It's about managing his workload and making sure that he's fit and healthy to play. So we probably won't see him until good bit down the road.
And obviously with Barry Riley, Colin, I'm presuming you did approach him when you did become the Kingscourt manager.
I did approach him, yeah, and he was straight up and honest with me. He probably, he's no one can question what he's done for Kingscourt down through the years, and I won't say he fell out of love with the game, but he probably had enough. And like the door's always open to those guys. Do you know what I mean? It's never closed. So I was hoping that I would have him available, but it wasn't to be. And he would be a great influence on the younger lads if we had him as such, and it just wasn't to be, John. But the approach was made, and as I said, he was honest from the days long. He didn't, or from the word go, he didn't beat around the bush. He just said it. Look, he wouldn't be involved, and unfortunately, that's the way it panned out. Because even at such, looking back, it would have been great to have him throughout the campaign.
And obviously, Colin, were you happy with where Kingscourt finished up in the league this year? And we always, we always say, the league is playing for in the championship. The league is just kind of playing in the championship for winning. But were you happy with, I suppose, Kingscourt league overall?
I wasn't really, because we lost a lot of games. Look, I don't like losing.
No one does.
And no matter no matter at what stage you put it in, I think it's the wrong message to send out to say if it's only the league, because I think these competitions have to be treated seriously. Like I played club football for a long, long time, and I was lucky enough to win championships. But I played in teams where we were never going to win a championship, and you have to treat every competition with the same respect as you would a championship or a league. So with that in mind, I was disappointed. Like we lost a couple of games that I would have thought we probably should have won. That would push us up into the semi final. Um, so happy with the way it went. That the resilience we showed to get ourselves, like 5 games in, we have no points at the bottom of the table, and it looked as if getting out of that bottom four would have been a struggle, but they didn't. As I said, the resilience shown was excellent. There was never any panic from the club. There was never any pressure put on. There was no negative comments. There was no negativity through it all. But personally, myself, I would have been disappointed with the results. And some days I went over and I said, look, is there something I can do here to make this better? But, when I look back now, the second half of the league was very good. The first half, we probably could have snuck a few wins earlier on that would put us forward as up to give us a chance to win the competition. But ultimately, that wasn't to be. So for me, I would see that as a disappointing campaign.
Refreshing in a way, Colin, to hear that like the panic button wasn't pushed straight away, and we do hear kind of horror stories to a degree with managers, probably getting shown the door maybe if results aren't going look in the right fashion, and if things aren't going like in a proper manner, like, and it is refreshing to hear that the panic button wasn't pushed, there was no negativity, and I suppose you all did share a common goal.
Oh, we did, yeah. We were under no illusion from the word go, and probably the only ones that has a huge expectation on them in Kingscourt is the younger guys, the
Mm.
17, 18, 19-year olds to deliver on the performance that they put in to win a league and minor championship double. And that shows there's a huge amount of talent within the group. But as I've already said to them, like, take young Michael McKeown, for instance. He was scoring heavily as a full forward in a minor championship final, and then all of a sudden he's coming out and he's playing and being tagged by guys of the ability of a Pádraig Faulkner. It's a different challenge. It's a different challenge. And it's one that the people have to understand, that the transition isn't easy, and it's not going to be smooth for these guys. So, as regards the rest, absolutely not. There was never a moment. Yes, there's no one likes winning, and I can't say for 1 minute that there was, a happy dressing room anytime we suffered a defeat. But at no stage was there awkward conversations between myself and the players, or was there awkward conversations between myself and committee. As I said to you, we shared a common goal. There's some great people working in Kingscourt, and no one wants to see poor results. And as I said to you, common goal shared by everyone. Push on to see can we, go as far as we can.
Push on. You did, Colin, to win a Cavan Senior Championship when it is so competitive, and all the talk, Colin, was the likes of Crushlaw, Gowna, and Rammer, like the top three, and by God, Kingscourt. They just played their football. They had a very, very good championship. They went about their business very quietly in a smooth manner, and all the talk was about the top three, and Kingscourt nipped in there.
Yeah, and rightly so. The talk should be about the top three because they're three very good teams. Like I know Jude very well, who's managing Rammer, and he's doing a fantastic job. Um, the guys that's with Crusher Law, they're going on to different things now to Westmeath to manage county teams, and Vinny obviously with Ghana. So well managed, well schooled, strong clubs with a lot of ability. So I was under no illusion that all the talk was about the three of them, and it wasn't titled to be. But I felt we were in that conversation as well. Like, I alluded to in the dressing room at some stage, like we have an all-star playing midfield and we have an all-star nomination playing corner forward. Like, we're not mugs, like, do you know what I mean? So let's prove that we have this quality. played Crusher Law in the group stage of the championship, and I put a huge emphasis on that game, huge emphasis, because I felt if we got something like that, then it wouldn't be about me telling these guys they were good enough; they'd believe they were good enough. And we were 6 down. It was bad conditions in Coot Hill. Probably wouldn't have suited our guys. But 6 down, we find ourselves in front. Crusher Law equalise at the death. And the disappointment through the group was evident, after the game. They start talking about, listen, no drinking, that's it, done. We settle down now and we get ready for the next round. Like, the disappointment for the group. I spoke in the dressing room after and I was disappointed. And it's the first time I questioned them as to not being able to hold out. And not question their ability, question why the result wasn't delivered. But I knew that day then it wasn't about me telling them anymore they were good enough. They knew themselves they were good enough. And like 12 down against Ballyhaise in a tough game under dreadful circumstances for Ballyhaise when the young boy lost his life and it was a tragedy for the club.
Yeah.
And it was such an emotion-filled night, and they played with so much intensity. Ballyhaise that night. We came from 12 down. We were, 1 down against Rammer deep in injury time, and we didn't score a 2-pointer. We scored twice.
Yeah.
Pádraig Faulkner scores a fisted point to put us 1 up, and then we win the kick out and get the winner. Or maybe Geordie scored the equaliser and then Pádraig scores the winner. So the resilience in the group at that stage now, the belief and the momentum was there. It was just about harnessing the right direction. And as someone said, as long as I didn't make a bollocks of it, I think we were in with a great shout.
Yeah, without a doubt, and it's I suppose along the way, like along like a championship journey, Colin, and obviously you've been in many championships yourself and playing and managing. You need these stiff tests. Even that game against Ballyhaise, you stiff tests against Cavan Gales along the way, Crusher Law. You do need a couple of bumps along the way to get where you got.
Yeah, you do. You can't like we definitely didn't win an easy championship. Definitely not. Like
No.
we drew Crusher Law, we beat Rama, and we beat Ghana. Right, we didn't. But the other teams with like Jesus Christ, it could have went anyway in the first game against Cavan Gales, and we come out 1 point the right side of a high scoring game. That goes the wrong way. Then all of a sudden it's a different argument. So
Yeah.
but we continually got better throughout the campaign, and we were getting fitter, getting stronger, getting more bodies back. Like for even in the Crusher Law game, Geordie didn't play. He was still getting over that, and he was still carrying a knock, and he probably wasn't, just wasn't in a good place at that time. Even though he was close, we took the view that we'd be better with 100% and taking a chance on risking them against Crusher Law. And again, that was an open discussion with some of the players. Like, it wasn't a decision I was making. This is the way we approached it all the time. So, yeah, it's like all championships, even ones I've won, at some stage there's a turning point, and we were getting a draw. We beat Ballyhaise in the group stages, beat them convincingly, beat Cavan Gales in a tight match in Breffni Park. But I felt that the turning of the season was when we got the result against Crusher Law. That meant then that, okay, there's something now that like now the guys believe it. And essentially we did, we got a bit of luck along the way. There's no two ways in saying that. But we played a lot of fantastic football as well.
Like obviously lots of games too, Colin, and like before you reach so much of you obviously your 4 group games and into quarters into semis. What, like, we talk about structure in the league. What do you make of the Cavan club championship structure?
Yeah, I really like it.
Okay.
Really like it. The fact that you don't know who you're playing
Mm.
week in, week out. It's always intriguing. You can't rest on your laurels. Like, um, like I see some other championships, like in Loud, it's a 3-team group. The draw is made early in the new year. So from January, you know who you're playing. And if you're a team that's coming up and you happen to be drawn against Monster Boys and the Marys, you're kind of looking at a long season road ahead of you, you know. And I'm not suggesting for 1 minute that you can't get a result in I'm just saying it's tough. Whereas in Cavan, you can't rest in your laurels. Everyone has to go into the first round of the championship ready to rock, because you know if you're not on your game, like ultimately we could have played Gown in the first game and Rammer in the second game, and then all of a sudden 2 games in you've no points on the board. Round 3 you're drawn against Crusher Law, and then you don't win that game, so you're after playing
Yeah,
the 3 best teams. You're in relegation trouble.
yeah,
So you know you have to be ready to go, and the fact that you've a new challenge every week, it I think it's just it's intriguing. It's great to not knowing. It makes a coach plan and think about what's happening, think on his feet fairly quick. You need a strong management team around you. Said you, we were blessed with Paddy, because when Derek and myself and Paddy Mead would be, you know, prepping the team about getting ready for the next game, Paddy Farley was doing his analysis on the opposition and stuff like that. So we were well prepped and good to go. But it's a great format, great format.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. A lot of people can be on the fence about it. Like a lot of people say, maybe there's, and obviously you're of course novice with this, but like a lot of people have been saying, like maybe there's a lot of games that they go into Kingscourt Breifne Park or any kind of club games around the county. Maybe they lack a bit of quality, and maybe there's lack that bit of intensity. And sometimes maybe on a Sunday when the games are Kingscourt Breifne, maybe people might not be at it, and it's a bit dull and a bit can be a bit jury at times, and maybe that can be their golden opinion. And some people love having them 4 chances, and maybe if you just don't get over the line your first game, you have the other 3 games to book up your act and, as you say, prepare and get everything right for the last couple of games.
Yeah, it is. I can understand that. I suppose probably this is probably going to sound a bit offish, but you know, maybe some teams don't have the ambition of a Ghana, a Rama, or a Kingscourt. So I understand that if they lose a couple of games, that maybe it's a different fight for them. But I think your intensity comes from your management team. I think it's your coaching philosophy and your motivation of players that will bring intensity to games. I just thought it was fantastic, and not because we went and won the thing. As I said to you, I thought the players were excellent throughout. I couldn't fault them to a man. There wasn't a bump on the road. At no stage was there an ounce of hassle between players and management. So it was a great experience for me, great competition. And at no stage, as I said to you, did I feel that it was a struggle to get the players motivated or get intensity into what we were trying to do.
Mm, absolutely. And I suppose, what's it like compared to Loud? Say, what's the format like up in Loud?
The format up and loud is 3 team groups. Um, you 2 teams out of the group go into quarterfinals. So there's 8 teams. There's 4 groups, right? So the top 2 teams in each group go into the quarterfinals, and the bottom 4 go into relegation playoff. So you know your fate from a long way out, or you can plan accordingly, and that's why I'm saying to you, probably like a real strong team like the Marys, if they get a group that's favourable for them, they probably just mightn't have to go as hard at it as and for that, then you could get a group of death where the 3 best teams are in it, and you're really going at it. But pretty much what you're prepping for. Whereas in Cavan you don't. It's intriguing, and as I said to you, Loud's a good championship. It's thrown up some great games in the recent past. Look, if you're a Gale and you're into GAA, I think no matter what the championship format is, if your local community is playing and there's something at stake, it's intriguing, and
Mhm.
it's a special occasion. As I said to you, I just found that the Cavan one was very good, with the fact that You didn't know who you were playing from week to week. Whereas in counties like Louth, Meath does draw. You're a long way out. You know possibly what your opposition is.
Okay. So you definitely wouldn't be a fan of Tyrone, I wouldn't say. The
The,
first one game had gone.
uh, it'd be tough now. But listen, probably like I won championships with the Newtown Blues in knockout and league stages. So we won the championship in 2000 when it was a knockout, and in 2001 we won the championship when it was a league format. Um, but I played in a lot of games where we got one game and we were gone. It's the same
Yeah.
when you go back. When you go back to when we were playing with Loud, back in the day, like it was mad when you think about it that we trained for 7, 8, 9 months of the year, and you got one game in the summer and it was all over.
Yeah.
Um, so look, I there's something life or death about the knockout football, but again, it depends. But it stands to reason that that's why probably when was the last Tyrone team that went back to back in the club championship?
Yeah. And that's what makes it brilliant. Like,
Yeah, it is, and there's a huge emphasis on the league football in Tyrone. Like I think they play something like 15 league games, and like your status is retained or not through the league.
yeah, you have
Like
like a pre-league, then the league, and then the
so if
championship. Yeah.
if you're relegating the league into the Division One senior league in Tyrone, you play intermediate championship the next year.
There you go.
Like so the club football is like even the league football. It's a huge standard. Where you taking a lot of counties now. People talk about the league really being insignificant. As I said from an earlier point of view, I just feel every competition should be treated with respect. And I get it that players don't have county players playing, and with that you can probably shadow and hide behind an excuse to say, oh listen, it's not really relevant to league because we don't have our county players. But I think it's better to probably challenge your players and say, listen, let's see what we can do here. Let's make a statement. Let's try and get on. And so, um, yeah, I think, yeah, no, I like the format. I like the way it is. I'm not so
Mm.
sure I'd be a fan of just knockout.
Yeah, it would be very, very tough. Where do you sit on the debate? Obviously, you've been with county teams and clubs and everything that goes with that. Where do you fit with maybe not letting the county lads play, especially if they're not making the 26 and then still not being allowed to play for the club, Colin?
Well, I suppose like when I was manager at inter-county level, I allowed fellas that weren't directly involved with us in match day play with the clubs, right? I found the problem you had at the time where, like, you take our local club here, for instance, right? So we'll take Dermot Campbell of the Dreadnoughts, so Dermot plays full back in the Louth team all the time. So it's hypothetical, he wouldn't be playing. But say, for instance, Dermot wasn't in the 26 and you allowed them play on Sunday and they're playing, you know, some other team who is a county player that's not allowed to play. The club is objective, right? And that's what I felt. Where do I sit on the issue of them not playing? I would love to have them, but I understand both sides of it. And if Dermot McCabe, we have four lads in now with the Cavan seniors. Porrick obviously has stepped away for the time being, but we have four other guys in the two Shackletons, Keane and Aaron,
Yeah,
and Paddy Mead and Peter Corrigan.
yeah,
Now, say for instance they're in the Cavan squad, and for whatever reason they don't make it, 2026 on the National League Sunday, and they're not released to us. I understand that, and it's not something I will ever mope about or give out about because I understand the situation. If they're available to me, that's fine. If we're playing a team and our four lads are playing with Cavan and we're playing, Crusher Law, and Darren McFeely's playing with Crusher Law, I accept that. I don't mind. So there's a lot of thought has to be put into it, and the clubs have to be on board as well as everything else, because I understand the likes of Dermot McCabe has a serious pressurised job to do, And people might say, oh, well, why is he not releasing them? We don't know what the circumstance is. Like it could be nip and tuck between, say, you know, Aaron Shackleton could be close to playing centre back this week, and all of a sudden he's carrying a wee bit of a knock. Someone's nursing him. Oh, he's not in the 26. Why is he not playing? So I get that, and it's not information that Dermot needs to share with us. What's the inner dealings of his squad? So no, I'm comfortable with whichever way it goes.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's obviously it sparked a lot of debate in the past, and obviously Dowd manager Conor Lafferty has released his players in the past if they weren't making the 26, and he did let them play for the club. Like, and I know a lot of managers would be for and against it. Like, it is definitely, it would spark a lot of debate maybe for the years ahead, Colin.
It probably would, but at the same time, Conor seems to be doing the right thing, and probably, you know, like as I said to you, it's probably the clubs that has a couple of players that's actually starting on county teams, and they're playing league against fellas that's in the squad and not. But like if there are four lads that's in the Cavan squad starting the National League, that suggests that we have four very, very, very talented players.
Without a doubt, yeah.
That's been nurtured, looked after, and going to be handed back to us in a really, really good place.
And before championship, June or July.
Yes, right. So I'm okay with that.
Oh
Right
yeah.
now,
Well, I suppose the way the new structure is, absolutely, yeah.
I'm okay with that. The bigger problem I have, the players we're killing all the time, is the county players. Right. The big like they're on a bit of split season. The only one that's not a split season for is the county players. Like because they're at it now. Okay. Whereas our lads are tipping about in the gym. I think they're weighing the beer on Saturday. I think they're going racing the following Sunday. They'll do a couple of gym sessions. They'll dodge a few gym sessions. They'll have their Christmas, right? The end of county players are getting ready to play National League in 4 weeks,
McKenna
5
Cup.
weeks.
McKenna Cup too,
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, if your National League doesn't go well, you don't play in the All Ireland Series.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not as if it's a Mickey Mouse competition anymore.
Mm.
So like people talk about it being a split season. It's not a split season for Jordan Morris.
No.
It's not a split season for Sam Roy. It's not a
What
split.
do you do to prevent that? What could they do to prevent?
Well, we can't do anything to prevent it, but we can't be hiding behind the fact that it's a split season. It's okay for the ones that's been targeted, the ones that's has
David
the
Clifford,
most.
yeah.
Yes, listen. It's fine for the likes of Kerry because they can probably leave David Clifford a bit longer, but for Loud to achieve and stay at the levels they're staying at, they need Sam Roy playing. For
Yeah.
me to stay at the levels they're playing at, they need Jordan Morris playing.
Yeah.
Right. So, and that's no disrespect to me. That's no disrespect to Loud. I just feel that the players that get the most pulling and dragging is the county players.
Okay.
And as I said to you, I would take a stand on this because I didn't play Jordan in the early stages of the championship this year. Right.
Oh
We
yeah.
could have, but I didn't. I made that conscious decision not to. It was a decision that we made jointly, but we felt it was better to have him fresh.
Yeah.
Now it paid off for us. If it didn't, could I have been sitting here saying, "Why the fuck didn't I play him?" Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
They're decisions you have to make. So I know, as I said to you, I appreciate the fact that county managers have to make the decisions, but for me, as I said to you, our club players now have the feet up. They're having a few beers, they're relaxing. Our county players are going back straight into action.
Yeah. So it's just like it's just a bit too soon for them, or just a bit. But I suppose this has always been the way. This has been a frustration for many a year, really.
It is. Listen. There's no one complaining here. I don't hear the players complaining. Look, I would have walked the length of the country to play for Loud. So like I'm not going to sit here and be hypocritical and say like I wouldn't have wanted a break. Do you know what I mean? Like I would have played. Like when you're that age, you're enthusiastic. You want to play morning, noon, and night all the time. So I get it. I just feel it is a huge workload on the county players more so than the club players. The club players have their downtime. The county players don't.
Yeah, and maybe that's why the county players are slightly dying breed in some counties, Colin, to a degree. And some lads are just happy to play with the club, but you're kind of saying maybe just give them the break, like maybe just give them the break when the club championship does end, and get them back even for the league.
Yeah, listen, look, I don't know. I don't know what the answer. I really don't know what the answer is. And listen, there's probably in the majority cases probably a lot of probably I suppose you look at it, there's probably clubs finished from September, October. Like I'm talking for air guys. And I've no doubt that Geordie's been managed correctly. I know that he was given a sustained break and the Kingscourt lads were given a sustained break with I'm not suggesting for 1 minute that they're put under pressure by the counties. And some of them. I'm saying they're playing serious football again in January. And they're going to be playing serious football in September, October, hopefully November.
So
That's
what?
it.
Yeah. So what can we do? What?
I I don't know. We'll go back to talk about Cavan, will we?
I can feel the blood pressure rising.
I actually, I actually caused that hassle for myself, didn't I?
Yeah, yeah. No, Colin, debate's always good. Debate's always
Yeah,
good. Debate is
yeah,
always good. But hopefully that is a problem we need to get sorted because obviously we do have a GPA, we have a Gaelic Players Association. So I would like to see Tom Parsons. I don't know how long more he has left in that particular gig, but I would like to see him get the finger out of the backside, to put it bluntly, Colin.
Listen, there's no easy answer here. Like you don't have, you've only 12 months in the year, and you've a lot of competitions to run. So it's like as I said, yeah, like
But but not to be, I suppose, to be devil advocate. There's some lads just love it, Colin. Like
oh yeah,
but some
like
lads are just obsessed. Like,
as I said, yeah, I would have played if I had the opportunity. I would have played, apart from times I played every day of the week. Do you know what I mean? Like that's how much I was into it. That's how much I was obsessed. And I'm sure the county players the same. I'm not suggesting for 1 minute that any of them have been forced into it. Lifespan of a county player now, I don't think lasting 10, 12. I mean, I think you'll see them breaking.
Yeah. No, absolutely, absolutely. Well, hopefully we can get that situation sorted without a doubt. And obviously, county champions in 2025, beaten a very well fancied County team going into that final. And I suppose that probably did play into maybe Kingscourt's hands to a degree, Colin. And obviously, at the dog in the street was saying Gown, and it just didn't turn out like that. And it was the boys were on fire, and it was the boys from Kingscourt who won the county final this year.
Yeah, but, you know, a lot of people not giving us much of a chance, I suppose, going into the final. Um, I'm probably rightly so based on the fact that like the year previous there was a relegation struggle. The year prior to that, Ghana had beaten them convincingly in the final. But the evidence was there, and one of the things we spoke about, if Rama had to play them in the senior final, Rama would have been, pretty close to in the bet and say to beat them. If Crusher Law, were playing them like Crusher Law played them in the semi final, and it was split as to who would win. Would Crusher Law win? Would Ghana win? So I thought we were kind of wrote off a little bit early.
Yeah.
And I keep going back to the fact we we had an all-star and an all-star nomination in our team.
Mm-hmm.
We had a lot of ex-inter-county experience. We have a lot of underage inter-county experience.
Yeah.
So we had a lot of high-end players. And I just felt it was a closer closer game on paper than other people thought, and we just went about our business quietly, prepped very well. There was no big hullabaloo about the final, what we were going to do. We just, looked at Ghana and tried to come up with ways of getting the job done.
And by God, just did. And obviously, Joe Dillon with the goal really did set the tone. And it was a really, really good first half performance. And I think Ghana were just, I suppose, on their feet throughout, and they nearly couldn't, I suppose, live with Kingscourt's intensity, the pace, and you really did do your homework on them.
Listen, we look again. We were 4 points down. It was 4-0 at one stage, but again, at no stage was the panic. Like Ghana had some really good players, but I felt we'd get chances. I really did. We homed in a lot on kicking the ball, and we probably would have ran the ball a good bit earlier on in the competition. And it was getting us by. It was suffice to say that it was getting us by, but for for lots of reasons, I thought it was the right time to start kicking the ball a bit longer, because the elephant in the room was we were turning the ball over too much, and I felt that if we kicked it, it would leave us in a situation that we wouldn't be turning the ball over high up the pitch. Our defenders would be in place, and let's utilise what we have is very, very good inside forwards. Like as I said to you, Keane Sheckleton has been a man apart this year. He has been absolutely sensational. Joe Dillon is a top class player, and Geordie's Geordie. He's electric. So I felt, rather than try to, run the ball to these guys, kick it in. Like if we kick it in 10 times, we only have to get lucky once. And you're not kicking it into poor players. So that was the thought process. Turn them, get them come back towards their own goals. And but for that to happen, you need quality in what you're doing. Like the goal, like Peter Corrigan's ball into Joe was fantastic.
Oh, class.
Kieran Dermody took a catch on the sideline from a kick out off Tom Mark. That was absolutely fantastic, and shipped the ball to John McKeown before that. So there was a lot of high end stuff, and in those situations, you have a team like Ghana gone in with so much expectation, having won in the manner they won 2 years previous. Like, I'm not suggesting for 1 minute that they didn't think they'd nothing to do. Vinnie Curry wouldn't let that happen. But we've all played in games where, you get the lightning start, you're 4 up, and all of a sudden the tide starts turning. And you can't fix it. It's, someone has turned the switch off and you can't switch it back on again. And I just felt there was that, and all year we just seemed to find a way. And in the final, it just was a sensational performance.
Yeah, it really was. It was a class day for the blue and white of Kingscourt, no doubt about it. And I suppose Colin, like as Tomas did say years ago in the Sunday game, I think it was an infamous quote. It's called football days. Kick the ball, and let's just play this beautiful game of ours. Not go backwards, not go sideways. Go forward with it, and we'll see how we go.
Yeah, it's like as I said to you, it's I'm not going to sit here and say it was a masterclass, because someone might say, well, why the fuck didn't you kick the ball in the earlier rounds of the championship? If some of the lads had been passing it a little bit better in the half back line, we mightn't have went down that route at all. We were just giving it away too much. But I suppose, look, in the ideal scenario, in the modern game, like we were scoring very highly throughout the championship, like putting up huge scores.
Yeah.
Like, 220, 314, 18, 19 points. We were scoring heavily all the time and getting a spread of scores. It wasn't a case of, it was the Jordan Morris show or the Keane Sheckleton show or the Joe Dillon show. We were getting a spread of scores. Podge was coming in with scores. Paddy Mead scored goals. Kevin Curtis, who had another fantastic season for us, was scoring on a regular basis. Oren Cunningham was coming up and getting scores. Kieran Dermody got goals at important time. Peter Corrigan was going. Like, there was a spread of scores through the team. It wasn't just with one player. And we were comfortable in that. I just felt the day of the final, like, you had to turn Ghana. We couldn't afford to play in front of Ghana. If we played in front of Ghana, we were going to lose. So
Mm-hmm.
we had to turn them. We had to get them running back towards their own goals. And the bottom line is that they very seldom, as a coach, on the day that matters, everything comes together. It came together that day. Everyone that participated, like, they were fantastic to a man. Like, we lost Owen Cunningham early on to a bad head injury, right? Knocked out, swallowed his tongue, was under pressure. John McKeown,
Jesus.
John McKeown steps onto the pitch, 19 years of age, right? Had a great game. Barry Tully was immense. Shane Gray was immense. Cormac McAviney, who struggled, was playing with a meniscus issue in his knee. He's having surgery next week. Immense. Aaron Shackleton, what a player he's going to be. Paddy Mead, any job we asked Paddy Mead to do this year, stop the opposition's midfielder. He was fantastic. And again, as I said, you scored goals. Peter
Yeah.
Corrigan, like, to a man, they were just fantastic on the day. And seldom, as a coach, when it really matters, you get everyone going the same direction.
Old dogs to the hard road as well, Colin. The likes of Shane Gray, Barry Tully, obviously Joe Dillon really stepping up in this final. I'm probably missing a man or two there, but they really did step up, put in a serious shift in that final, a serious shift throughout the whole championship, and it was great to have them about this year.
Listen, when you're dealing with guys like that, it means so much to them. Like you know, they are Kingscourt. They are the club. It's in the blood. Like like as I said to you, Oren Cunningham gets a bad head injury. Like, his dad is Ray Cunningham that played with Cavan. He's a first
Mm.
cousin of Joe Dillon. Um, and it's just emotion filled. So you have Joe, you have Shane Gray, who's brilliant, Barry Tully. To see him, like, what he has put in, to see him walking up the steps of to collect the cup on championship winning day was fantastic. Porrick Faulkner has been immense. Like, he scored 2 points in the county final. He pops up with these momentous plays, and he's the heartbeat of the team. And as I said to you, Geordie's pass for the first goal, like, anyone else is kicking that ball over the bar. And in fairness, like, you're probably sitting on the sideline and you kick the fucking ball out and next is in the back of the net, and he
Yeah.
just does those things. So does like the sum of the parts. Like I said to you, Keane Shackleton probably kicked the score of the match that day, where he kicks a 2-pointer with the outside of his left boot,
Yeah.
into a slight breeze. So, yeah, a lot of work put in, a lot of hard work done trying to analyse Ghana. But you can't win these things unless you have a support network that's second to none. We have that in Kingscourt.
Yeah.
Unless you have a management team that is so engrossed in trying to make the team better. And with Derek Walsh, you have a guy that's excellent, around the coaching field. With Paddy, you have a guy that's excellent amongst the players and brilliant at analysis. But what makes this really work is the ability of the footballers.
Mm.
They play. If you
Yeah.
don't have players at that level, you can't win championships. So
Yeah.
it's easy. It's easy for someone, for me, to sit here and have to, speak on this podcast about these guys. But I can't emphasize enough how easy it is to deal with a Porrick Faulkner, a Jordan Morris, and
Yeah.
they make it so easier for the rest of the lads to perform. And they're so inclusive of everyone. Like, but it comes down to the natural ability of the players, and I'm just a lucky fella who has the option to coach them.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, Colin, I think it was just a bit laggy there for 1 second, but no, that's 100% absolutely. And then Colin, obviously moving into Ulster against Aaron Gales, and obviously with Porrick Faulkner going travelling, that was obviously a big blow to Kingscourt and a big blow to any team. But I suppose that game in Kingspan Breffney Park, and obviously the first half just didn't go to plan. You guys did claw back in the second half, and it went all the way to extra time, and couldn't just get over the line. It was very close to it. But I suppose your emotions in that game.
Yeah, it was difficult because like being involved in Leinster club campaigns as a player with Newtown Blues, it was I know how tough a competition it is to win games in. I just felt the energy was probably dipping a wee bit after the Ghana win, and that's not to say that the lads took their eye off the ball or that wasn't there. Just probably there was such an emphasis on trying to win the championship that we were probably overcooked a wee bit on the downturn. But again, that word resilience, like 13 points down, an absolute horror show in the first half, and Geordie has a shot at the end, a very difficult one, to win the game. So the turnaround was immense. Started the second half, or started extra time. First half, we go a point up playing against the wind, and then we get a great opportunity. Oran Cunningham smashes the ball off the crossbar. If that goes in, it puts us four up in a commanding position. But Aaron Gales, again, well coached, Declan Bonner, some really good players. Just had too much for us on the day. Probably their experience through the competition. Probably the fact that we probably just ran our legs. I'd say that was the first time that there was evidence of that. And a real disappointing night. I felt that more than I did in any time, because I had set a goal that, success in the Ulster campaign for us would be get to the last four of Ulster and play Kilcoon in an Ulster semi-final. That's something that I would personally have loved to see happen for the club, for the growth of the club, for the people that put in the work of the club, for the Kingscourt supporters. I thought it would have been the capping on a season just to have a chance to play a club of the stature of Kilcoo with a view to get to an Ulster final. So it was really disappointing that we didn't get over the line, but that's football. When you get to that competition, when you get to that level of competition, it's small margins.
Yeah. Yeah, Ulster Club is absolutely dog eat dog, and really looking forward to obviously that Kilcoon and Scottstown game. I think it'll make for a really exciting game, make no doubt about it. I suppose, Colin, obviously you've been brilliant with your time. Just a couple of quick fire questions sent in by a couple of followers and listeners of the podcast. How challenging is it to retain and maintain the balance of yourself between the leadership element necessary, the coaching on the pitch, and the man management in a high performance environment, which would be Kingscourt and every other county team you've been with, I suppose?
It's all about the people you have around you. Like as I said to you, it's a big effort from everyone in the club, and it's a huge part of it for me is the conversations. I would speak to a huge amount of people after the game, and it could be Pat Faulkner, Porrick's son, it could be Phil Smith, ex Kevin chairman, and Kevin Shields, the chairman of the club. And it's about getting all the little information you can and trusting your management team, trusting your players. And listen, no matter who you are managing or coaching, everyone's going to do poor jobs. So it's about that word of there was never any pressure in Kingscourt, and it allows you to go and function the way you want to. So it's a culmination of things between good players, good administrators around the club, and a really strong management team. And I have that in Derek Walsh and Paddy Farley, and a brilliant medical team in Dr. John, Edel and Luke.
Yeah.
So, we're well supported, well supported.
Yeah, Doctor. Obviously shares the same name as himself. Do you think he's a Kingscourt legend at this stage? He's been around the block for so many years. He's been part of
I
a lot of
have,
them.
yeah, he's really good. And then it's ultimate. It's having a good coaching philosophy and following it. Like, I would be very, very much in the corner of it's about coaching the skills. Um, so it makes it an awful lot easier when you have skillful players. But good players have to be able to perform the skills, and we have a lot of good players. So
Yeah.
coaching philosophy fits into what we're trying to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you a huge lean towards scenario-based coaching and empowering the players to make good decisions in the right moment for the team?
Um, yeah, I'd like it to be player led. I don't like to curb. You know, I hate buzzwords. Like the
Okay.
latest one now is hard carry, solid the ball to the
Oh,
sideline, miss two or three passes, and then pass to someone on the fucking sideline. That
oh,
just drives me mad. So I'd like players to make good decisions, um, and it's about this is our philosophy. How you go about delivering that, right? This is what we want to do. So we do spend time on coaching scenarios. Absolutely. You know, what happens in this scenario, what happens in that scenario, where are we going with our kickouts? It's probably the hardest skill in the game at this minute in time to coach is actually kickouts because an opposition can get a press on you and it's not a case now of just getting a little dink out somewhere. Um, but the big point in that question is empowering players. It
yeah,
has to be player led. Like if I curtail their ability to do something with negativity, I'm ultimately putting a stranglehold on the team.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I want the goalkeeper to go short, but I want him to make a good decision,
Hmm.
right? I want Jordan Morris to be elusive. Um, there's a simple point on, as there was in the county final, and he probes looking for goal. Um, that's the decision he made that day that paid off for us. If it didn't, so be it. I'd have taken him off. No, so it's about empowering the players and giving them a big say in what they want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. How many voices are in the dressing room on match day, and how best can coaches, managers facilitate this to get best from the squad, Colin?
Um, and many voices are in the dressing room on match days. Well, obviously you have players speaking. So how our dressing room kind of works is we do an awful lot of work midweek. We prep hugely during the week about what happens on Sunday. Then we have two we have two dressing room meetings when we get in there before we go anywhere. We have a meeting using a flip chart and a tactics board, and that is all performance led. Um, I would generally do most of the speaking in that environment. And then the motivation end of it happens just before we go out in the field. Again, I would probably pick a team to try and motivate the players every week. But it's an open forum for players to ask questions and talk. But I try to encourage. Like as I've grown and progressed, like 20 years ago, I'd be fucking firing stuff around the dressing rooms in a temper,
Mm,
just obsessed with trying to get someplace. Now all of a sudden it's a more level headed approach, and like you have your usual like Podge is a great speaker. Podge speaks, people listen. Geordie speaks. Every dressing room like that does leaders. Paddy Mead, Keane Shackleton speaks.
mm,
Keane Shackleton doesn't say a whole pile, but when he speaks, people listen. But Aaron Shackleton is an unbelievable leader for a 19-year-old. He commands so much respect in the room. He speaks up. Like his his input at half time in the Aaron Gales match was massive. For a 19-year-old, his input was massive. He was calling guys out that were 15 years a senior, that had much more experience than he was, and that's the measure of the man. But like when he's going at that, it's just There's no interference. Anyone's entitled to speak.
Proper order. Last one, Colin. Comparatively, how those Kingscourt, Gowna, etc., rate feed the Blues, Scottstown, etc., in your opinion? So, how would they match up against the Blues?
Against Newton Blues,
Yeah.
they'd be very similar in terms of how they play the game. They'd be very similar in terms of how they approach the game. Um, Blues are a decent side. I know a lot of the Blues players. Obviously, have played there. They'd be very similar, very similar. Like the Blues would be a high scoring team. Kingscourt would be a high scoring team. Blues have some really good defenders. You know, Emma Carlin, Darren Alley, top class defenders. Yeah, as I said, yeah, we have some really good defenders. Aaron Shacklin, the whole like. I wouldn't like to call it. There's just they'd be closely matched. Really would be closely matched. And similar in clubs as well. Both classes, two town teams, both would play a similar brand of football. Both would try and beat the opposition rather than dull it down a wee bit. And yeah, we tried to get a friendly on this year. It didn't work out. I,
Oh,
I,
sugar.
I'd have had the answer for you, but it didn't work out. They ended up with a league game midweek, and it couldn't work. Only for that, I could probably give you the answer.
Okay. No, sure. Who knows? Maybe next year we'll wait and see. And then obviously, Colin, last kind of three. What kind of manager or coach would you be looking up to at the minute, or have you looked up to in the past?
Probably learned off a huge amount of coaches. Um, like played under played under a lot of big hitters. Like the best coach, the best manager I've ever played under, and my favourite time playing under anyone was playing under Paul Kenny. With Loud, I thought Paul was absolutely. It was just brilliant playing under him. But I would have played under. I played under Kevin Heffernan for Leinster. I played under Matty Kerrigan for Leinster. It was brilliant. Played under Eugene McGee. Like he played under all those guys in Railway Cups. Colin O'Rourke was a manager of Railway Cup one year. Played under him. There's too many to mention. Like when you look at them all, I would have been friendly with Mick O'Dwyer, Lord rest him, and would have brought him up and got him involved with teams I was managing in the past. I suppose I look at the like I look at teams and like it goes without saying, like Jim McGuinness is a fantastic manager, Jim Gavin are fantastic managers. Um, the strategies is brilliant. Like Jim's strategies is fantastic. I crossed paths with Jim. I was managing the Loud on 21s. He was managing Dublin on 21s in Navan, and spoke to him like we played against each other. But spoke to him that night as the first time in a management capacity, and he was fantastic. So I probably wouldn't look up to one. I would look up to different sports like Jurgen Klopp. Like I'd be a big Liverpool fan. Jurgen Klopp was so enthusiastic, and it like people might have thought it was a show, but he had so much love for his players and thought so much of them. Pep Guardiola, obviously, just brilliant manager. So there's different things. There's different things probably I would look at in managers and coaches and see how did they get that little bit, and probably pick as much as I can off different things and try and put it all together.
Top five players you like watching at the minute?
Um, Obviously David Clifford,
Shock
um,
horror.
Jock Horror, David Clifford. I'd be a big fan of Sean O'Shea. I'm
Yeah.
Kerry fanatic as well.
Yeah, I love
Um,
Kerry.
I have to say, I have absolutely huge admiration for Samurai.
Ah, well, yeah, naturally so, yeah.
I was lucky enough to give him his debut in as a kid with Loud Seniors, but how he's progressed. is
Incredible.
yeah, fantastic.
Hey, sorry to put in, but I love his self belief. He believes he's probably the best, and like he is delivering. But like his self belief is has to be admired. Like,
Yeah, it does. It does. I have a soft spot too for Ryan Burns.
okay.
I think like I know I'm picking two loud players. So you're saying the favourites, but I will watch them most because when the National League starts, I go to all the loud games. So I do watch them. So Clifford, Shawnee O'Shea, Burnsy, Samurai, and to throw one in there. I'm not going to say Geordie because I'm coaching and training him the whole time, and that's just a different level of it's just a brilliant experience, and he knows how much I think of him. Probably Dara Canavan
Derek Canavan, yeah.
or Shane Walsh.
Yeah, yeah, both boys are fantastic footballers.
Yeah,
Be interested to see what I think Derek Canavan will basically will out of the league next year, so that'll be interesting to see. Can Malik work at him? I suppose even fit for the championship. Like I think he's out. He's got a bad knock, so hopefully he does recover well because he is one of the best we have, Colin. And last but not least, Colin, a bit of advice, I suppose, for any kind of young manager, young kind of coach out there to, I suppose, set them on the right path.
don't be afraid to make mistakes. Don't 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 be trying to be Jim McGuinness or don't be trying to be Jim Gavin. Be your own man. Set a template that your team can play to. Look at the quality of player you have, and set a template that suits your team rather than a template that some manager is going to set for your team.
Well, very, very, very last one. Would you like to manage Loud again?
Um, no. Um, and and what like I absolutely I am fanatical Loud fan, fanatical Gaelic football fan, but fanatical Loud fan, and touch wood, please God, I have a young guy now at 17 years of age that is going to hopefully progress to play in that environment. And I would like to be sitting in the stand viewing that and have the pleasure of looking at him rather than having the pleasure of trying to manage him.
Brilliant.
So I would do anything for Loud, but would I choose to manage Loud again? I don't think so.
There you go. Colin Kelly, I think that's one of the best of the year. An absolute pleasure to be joined by you tonight. Thanks a million for joining me this week. And of course, the podcast is kindly brought to you by yourgarage.com. Use my promo code JMac podcast to get 15% off on their website. Kingscourt manager Colin Kelly, thanks a million for joining me this week. Your pleasure. You're a gentleman. Thank you.
Cheers, John. Thank you.